and is confused, I actually wouldn't think that would be completely inappropriate, because there is not a clear consensus on this board, as there sometimes is and sometimes isn't, as I'm sure any of the other boards or committees in town work exactly the same way. And I appreciate the smile, Mr. Murphy. I think you also made some very good points about being careful not to do things to the detriment of the town and not to waste time. And I believe that we have bent over backwards. Not that you're implying that we weren't, but I believe for the record that we've bent over backwards with a number of different boards and a number of different projects to try and do that. And I think that just as our consensus opinion for the batch design a year-ish ago was enough to go forward to town meeting and make decisions on, I think the same would be true here. I think we also need to understand a distinction. Someone might be sitting at home and watching our proceedings tonight and say, well, but you let the school committee get away with it. And the difference there is that's a proposal that's already in place, that's something that's already been built. It's a much more minor thing, at least in my view, and I suspect in others, to extend something that's been done that doesn't make any permanent changes than, as Ms. Romeo was saying, to approve a new construction project, which does need to have the process understood. I apologize, and I'm disappointed that the paperwork was not as easy to get as it should have been.
We tried to get it.
And I do apologize for that.
I couldn't get it either.
I believe both of you, but neither of you called. In all fairness, neither of you called. We've all understood the... I'm sorry?
You and I discussed the paperwork 6 months ago, not to get into an argument.
I'm not going to get into an argument, but there was never a, I can't get it, I now need it, Howard, print one out for me. And I may be being a little childish about it, but that didn't happen. So I think that from a logistical standpoint of doing the right thing, I think Ms. Romeo is correct that we don't want to go out and vote on something officially that we don't have in our hands completely, but that's not to say that we shouldn't get something going forward. And I do think it is important and appropriate that this board make a statement Monday night, whether it be a relatively firm one or a relatively split one. And all the different boards in town have had to go to town meeting with split decisions, and I'm okay if we do the same. So what I'd like to propose in the interest of time, if there are no objections, is to go around the room like we did with the batch and give each person a moment to explain their position, to come out with a general yay or nay on what I believe is now FEA, just to double check again, and then to bring that forward to town meeting. But again, with the understanding that that is a consensus, that is a likely direction, but the process is not complete. Any objections from the dais? Okay. I'll start to my left.
I am very concerned about the size and the scope of this building, certainly in relation to the discussions that we had about the McLean building.
Yeah.
I realize the need for a new police station, but smushing it on this small space doesn't seem a very good solution. And that's my opinion.
At the risk of, just to make sure with clarity, and I think I know what you mean, but I don't want to be putting words in your mouth. If we were to pick a 3-letter or a 2-letter word, which one would it be?
No.
Okay. Marie?
I'd rather see the all the pieces, all the paperwork forwarded, and see what happens. I'd rather not vote tonight on it at all, so I'd say no at this point on this plan.
My belief is that when we look back, as I think a number of us have discussed during the course of the evening, the size, the scope, the footprint, the height, and for me, and I'm okay if it's just me, these windows, I look at this system and I see a situation where we were given a site and told to make it work. And I think that from all of the entities involved, we've done the very best we can to try to make it work. But I don't believe it works. And I believe that with the new data that comes forward Monday, with a determination of seeing where town meeting goes at this point, I honestly have to look at this and say the size, the windows, the footprint, I have to vote no. Pat?
I think everybody knows how I feel already. I stated it at the outset. It's overwhelming to me, and I feel it would be overwhelming to the district. So I would vote no as well.
Joe?
The scale bothers me a little bit. Some of the detail does too. But at the same time, the police department knows what it needs. If some adjustments can be made, which we've discussed in the past, then I'd still be in favor of the site and the location. I'm not worried about the parking because normally you don't have that much public parking, so to speak, to worry about it in a setup like this. So I'd go along with it.
Tom?
While I do have reservations about the size and massing of the building, and I think the spot, the physical location of the entire lot is not perhaps the best for a building of this size and scale. However, if it is the wish of the town to produce a police station at that location along with the fire station, and I certainly see the importance of having all the public safety buildings in one spot, and if this is the wish of the town to create this building on that spot, I would say that I would vote yes. I happen to think that the architect has done a very intriguing job of a very innovative and interesting design, perhaps because I happen to like a certain period of style which this building represents. I'm slightly prejudiced in that respect because it reminds me very much of some of the English styles of that period of the 1910, 1920s period. So perhaps I'm a bit prejudiced, but I think that if it is the desire of the town to produce a building there, that I think that the proposed scheme of FEA does a very good job of that. However, obviously, like many of the committee, I do have some inward reservations about the actual size of that for the lot and for the siting of the town. But if a police facility has to be built, then indeed it does to satisfy the needs of the town.
So, where we are then, just to summarize, is with one member absent this evening, and I honestly do not know which way he would go because we haven't gotten to this level of discussion previously. We are at 4-2 against the concept of this proposal. What I will plan to do, if there are not objections amongst my board, I will be in town Monday night, and if the police station building committee is amenable, I'd like to give a brief statement representing both sides. And since I am on one side, because by definition I have to be on one side, if either of you who voted on the other side, of course, feel I'm not representing properly, please pipe up, as I know you will. Any other? Just sure.
Chairman, seeing the committee has voted 4-2 no, does the town have to have your approval in order to build that building?
Of course. That's the way historic
I just wanted to hear you say it.
That is the way historic districts work, yes.
Yes, I wanted to hear you say it.
Yes.
I just want to
So
read.
basically speaking, Monday night, if this committee, in this paperwork that we're supposed to make out, doesn't change their mind, there's no sense of bringing the article in front of the townspeople, because you can stop it.
I would prefer probably not to use that wording, but yes, that's correct.
I mean, it's the truth then.
That's what correct means, yes.
Well, I just wanted to know.
Fair, yes, that's true.
Where do I get the paperwork?
As I said, if you can't
You
get
go
it from
see
Bob
Bob
Rogers, please call me at
tomorrow.
home.
Could I follow you home tonight and get it?
My computer isn't on. I can, if you'd like, I'll make sure you have it by the close of tomorrow.
Kenny, I'll talk to you after the meeting. I'll get
I'll power up my machine in the morning. You can have it by close of tomorrow. We will not meet again between now and town meeting, so it will not change the discussion at town meeting, however.
So your report at town meeting will be 4-2 no?
That, it will be, it'll
Regardless
be,
of paperwork.
let me be clear. We do not have a meeting scheduled between now and town meeting. I don't think it's likely we could get the board together, and based on town rules, it's now Tuesday night. The earliest we could even conceivably meet is Thursday night or Friday night anyway. And I don't think there's any way we can do anything else between now and town meeting, so no. It will not change between now and town meeting. If you'd like, I will get you the paperwork tomorrow. You can hand it to me, but I don't see what it's going to do between now and town meeting.
Then basically there's no need of the paperwork then, is it?
Unless,
Nothing can change.
unless something changes in the proposal or in individuals' minds, I would tend to agree with you, yes.
Could I ask you a question?
Please.
If we had the paperwork tonight, would the votes have been any different?
I can't speak for anyone but myself. Mine
just
would not.
curious.
Mine would not.
I haven't really made my decision. At this time, I don't feel in favor of voting for it at this time. I do like the fact of it being in the center, the police station, it being in the district. I have other reservations that I feel I can't vote yes on this as it's being presented.
The thing I'm having trouble comprehending is not for just for discussion purposes, is I'm under the impression, maybe I'm wrong, that the town last year, I wasn't there at their town meeting, voted to have the police station at this site.
Based
So
on data that's...
how can you change the vote of the town? Because you don't want it at that site. That's what I don't understand.
First of all, we're not changing the vote of the town. What happens in the... we are here based on a vote of the town that predates the vote you're talking about. We are here with a charter to protect the district. We are here with a charter to make sure that any additions, changes, deletions to the district are in what we, as fallible human beings, as we all are, believe is appropriate. The fact of the matter is we have town meeting charter standing, we have state Massachusetts law standing. One can look at it if you want to look at it through a prism of one way of looking at it and say, they're changing the law of the town. I actually don't see it that way. I see it as the town is looking at us to be one check in the system as to when something is going to happen and how a decision's going to be made. That is not to say we're overriding the vote of town meeting.
That's true.
Town meeting put us here.
It's true about appropriateness of the architecture, I don't question that at all. But what I understood was that the town took a vote stating that this was the site that it was going to happen on. So that would tell me, I mean, I'm on a building committee too. I've been on the historic committee in Marblehead, and I know that, I know all about the state laws and all that. I'm not trying to be argumentative either.
And I'm not taking it that way at all.
Discussion purposes.
That's fine.
To me, I'm reading this in a very odd way because on one hand, I read what happened at town meeting last year, where the town voted, and I guess it passed by an override vote too.
6 opposed, that's all.
To have the police station at the existing site. That was number one. So on that premise, no matter what the scheme is, as long as the architecture is appropriate, it's being compatible to the scale and the architecture of the historic district, that should be the only thing we're voting on. Maybe I'm wrong.
But at least a non-zero number, and again, I can't speak for everyone at the table, a non-zero number of us believe that this is simply too massive for this site. Also, when we want to go and dissect an analysis of town meeting, let's be complete. Town meeting had approved it at a different cost. There were people that at town meeting were still not clear that what some of them were told was renovation in addition, was demolition in addition. Not all of the information was even on the table. And to some degree, part of the reason